Welcome to Excel Academy's classes. This is Raksha Kutnikar, your educator for GST. Before you begin the lecture, I request you all to keep some stationeries with you. That is a pencil, a colored 2 or 3 colored pens, highlighters and sticky notes. So that when we are studying, you make note of the important MCQs. Every now and then I keep telling you what are the potential MCQs that can come in your examinations. So make a note of all of that, and whatever you feel is important when I am telling you, I would have already marked while I am discussing. So you also please mark with different colors of highlighters and pens. Make small notes, put sticky pads to the corner of your page so that when you're referring again, you do not have to put in a lot of effort. You already remember what we have studied together. This will definitely help you at the time of your examination. So put your efforts from day one. Last day, that is one day before the examination, it is not possible for you to study your entire textbook because 600 pages odd is your direct tax. The rest is your indirect tax. And altogether is one paper. You cannot study the entire textbook in the last moment. So be prepared, prepare yourself to face the examination. Along with conceptual understanding, I want you to prepare yourself to be 100% ready for the examination. So use a lot of colored pens, highlight everywhere, put important points, and for any other help that you require, we are there for you. First, we'll be starting with our lesson number 11, Concept of Indirect Taxes at a Glance. Before we move forward, first we need to understand how many types of taxes are there and why such taxes are levied in our country. Tax is a compulsory transfer of resources from private sector to public sector. What does that mean? It means whenever you earn any income or whenever you're earning any income from your profession or your business, you tend to pay taxes to the government. So basically, there are two types of taxes. One direct tax, one indirect tax. Even without your knowledge, even you are paying taxes to the government. You may not be earning anything today, but still you are paying taxes. How is that? Suppose you go to a vendor and then you buy a chocolate worth ₹100. What do? Suppose there is 18% GST included in that. The actual value of the chocolate that you're buying is 85 rupees. The added 15 rupees is your GST component. So the whole 100 rupees is the value of supply for you. So whenever you purchase some goods or services, you tend to pay taxes to the government. This is an indirect tax. You are not directly paying to the government. What do I mean by this? When you earn some income, suppose your income is from salary and for that year you earn 10 lakh rupees per annum. So on 10 lakhs you are paying income taxes to the government. So that is on your 10 lakhs you are directly paying tax on the income that you have earned. In direct tax, you cannot shift the burden to anybody else. Suppose I earn 10 lakhs, I cannot ask my friend, you pay taxes on my behalf. But under indirect tax, what happens? The burden gets shifted in the value chain from one point to another. How is that so? The first point of origin is the manufacturer, right? It moves through various levels in the supply chain, from manufacturer, wholesaler, retailer, customers. This is just an example. There are a lot of people involved in the value chain. When the product moves from the manufacturer to the retailer to the customer, the value keeps on adding. I'll give you a small example. Now, suppose the manufacturer manufactures a good for ₹100. He pays a GST. GST component is 18%, 118. Then he adds a value addition. So he might sell that particular good at 130 rupees. Value addition is the profit component as well as the tax component included. 130 rupees is the value to the retailer. Retailer adds the profit and the tax, so it becomes 150 rupees. Until it reaches the customer, it becomes 170 rupees. Okay, so The customer is bearing 170 rupees for the same value of the good. 70 rupees includes a component of the tax. The customer ends up paying all the taxes. Under our indirect tax regime, we follow a destination-based taxation. What does that mean? The manufacturer and the retailer, any suppliers before the customer, they get a credit of the tax. It means whatever taxes that they have paid on their purchases, they get a credit. All this we will be learning in detail in our chapters. This is just a glimpse for you to understand how our tax mechanism works. The entire burden of tax will be borne by the customer. In our country, there were numerous indirect taxes such as VAT, Central Sales Tax, Customs, Central Excise Duty. To name it all, there were many taxes. To top it all, every state had different rules and regulations. Every state had different VAT system. Karnataka VAT, Tamil Nadu VAT, Kerala VAT. There were so many types of indirect taxes. Suppose I am a supplier. I have my business in Bangalore, in Chennai, in Kolkata, in Delhi. So, me as a supplier, I had to follow 4 different types of laws and regulations. What a tedious task it was. Not only just VAT, I had to pay Central Excise Duty on the manufacture, VAT on intrastate sale, that is, if I am supplying within my state. For interstate sales, I had to pay Central Sales Tax. If I am exporting, if I am engaged in a trade outside my country, I had to pay customs. So at every point, I had to bear a lot of taxes. There was not only just confusion, but it would add to the high cost of goods. The rate of inflation for those goods was quite high. To bring things into hold, to make things very simple in our country, to have one tax system in our country, an indirect tax known as goods and service tax was brought about. In our chapter, that is lesson number 12, we will be studying the background of GST, how our constitution was amended to bring in GST, who brought about the idea of bringing GST, how many years it took to bring GST into force. So, briefly, our chapter mostly is about the history, lot of events, article numbers, constitutional amendments, and a lot of things to remember. So, if you take my advice, I definitely recommend that you do this chapter at the end. That is, the reason why I am saying this is, in our lesson number 12, that is our next chapter, we begin to learn GST from scratch. We learn what is GST, how GST functions, what is the importance, and how it is levied. Okay. So, as this chapter talks more about the background, it talks about the pre-GST era, it talks about what indirect taxes were there, and more importantly, there are a lot of article numbers and things, dates, events for you to keep in memory. So, if you want to do this chapter first, please do it, but again, do it again at the end. To top it for you, I have made a points for summary in this chapter. As this chapter has a lot of events, I definitely understand it is a tedious task for you to learn all of them. We shall have revision sessions, and I hope all of you take down the points for summary and keep revising every now and then. Talking about GST, France was the first country to adopt GST. Around 160 countries in the world have adopted GST till date, and India is one of them. There are basically 2 forms of GST, that is, for intra-state sales and for interstate sales. In our country, we follow the dual system of GST, that is, both the center and the states together have the power to levy taxes. Our President of India passed the Constitutional Amendment Bill for GST on 8th September 2016. But GST came into force on 1st July 2017. In our chapter, we will be studying what was the history behind it, when all this idea of bringing GST into implementation started. One more important aspect that we will discuss in our chapter is about the significance of Goods and Service Tax Council. GST Council is the apex body. It is a committee that is to modify, reconcile, revise and give various tax structures, various rates of tax from time to time. Article 279A talks about the Goods and Service Tax Council. So this concept is quite important for you, so please pay attention when we are studying. I definitely recommend students to revise whatever we have studied on a timely basis, because the gap between the lectures and your examination is quite huge. So you may tend to forget things and it might take extra efforts for you to learn everything again. So students, you are aiming to become a company secretary. This is not ordinary. It is an extraordinary thing in life. This is not what every other student does. To do this course, you need a lot of determination and passion. I obviously find that in you, and let us together make our journey in GST easy. All the best, concentrate well in the classes and study well.